Y'all planning for this?
Welcome back, TPR Nation. This is Jamie Shalansky in an episode of Worlds to Conquer. And today, let's talk about fear. Let's talk about the greatest inhibitor towards our success and what holds us back. The moments that we're feeling uncourageous and unwilling to move forward because rapid change is startling. Rapid change is uncomfortable. Think about all the ways in your life that you have changed over time and when you felt the most uncomfortable in doing so. And that discomfort led towards some other opportunity and some other, door that opened towards greatness, but you didn't know it at the time. You had no idea at the time. You were just thinking to yourself, oh my God, I hope this works. So as a financial advisor, as you're working in this space, maybe this change is coming to you at the time in which you're wondering if it's time to branch out on your own. Maybe you've been in a practice in which that got you here, but won't get you there. Maybe you have a business partner and you guys are going different directions. Maybe that business partner is somebody substantially older and you are their succession plan, which means you are waiting until they die in order to build your business. And waiting for somebody to die is a terrible plan. It is the worst plans possible. This is not monarchy. This is entrepreneurship. You shouldn't have to wait for somebody to die for your success to be realized. Or maybe you're wondering if you should join a broker dealer and you're not sure if it makes sense. Maybe you're thinking about leaving your broker dealer and going into the RIA space independently and not sure if that makes sense. Whatever pivotal moment you are at right now, something is inhibiting you from changing. Something is holding you back. And that is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what you can't control, and fear of failure. For many people, especially if you are over the age of 30 and listening to this podcast, then you've already had maybe some level of success, some level of complacency. You are earning an income that is good, better than you thought it was going to be at 20 years old. And maybe you're married, maybe you've got kids or expecting kids, and you're really nervous about rocking the boat. You're really nervous about reaching too far into the heavens to touch the sun. Whatever it is, something is holding you back. Something is keeping you tethered to the ground. Something is keeping you from achieving your greatness. And you have not isolated that. You have not determined exactly what it is and come face to face with it. And when I'm visiting with young professionals and we're talking about fear and moving forward and what's holding them back on the growth mindset, they know that they have greatness within them. They know that they want to achieve more, but this fear overshadows every single decision that they make. And so when we start talking about it, they say, well, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough success in these areas. I don't know if I can do these things. And I say, great, who's already crushing it in this space? Who is already an example of somebody that you want to live up to? And they say, oh, this person, and this person. And then here's the biggest lie we all tell ourselves. We all look at other individuals that are crushing it in some type of space, and they are really exceeding expectations, and they've gotten a lot of public accolades for all of their accomplishments. And we think to ourselves, my goodness, that person who has 5 times the amount of success I do must be 5 times smarter than I am. No, their dreams are just 5 times bigger, and their drive and initiation is 5 times more than where you're at right now today, putting the foot down on the brake instead of the gas pedal. There are people in this world who are much, much smarter than you are. There are people that are much smarter than I am. There will always be people that are better and smarter and wiser. But when I look at really successful people, it's not that they had some secret wealth of knowledge or that they had decades and decades of experience doing something necessarily. The difference is they took a chance, that they believed in themselves. They burnt the ships. They burned the midnight oil. They did everything they could for their dream to succeed. And the success you're seeing in public will not show you all the days and nights of fear and worry and wondering if they were going to have to move back in with their parents, or if they were going to have to declare bankruptcy, if they were going to get divorced, if they were going to leave their kids destitute. There were all the same fears that you have today holding those other people back. But the difference is they made a plan and they took action on that plan. They're not 5 times smarter than you are. Their dreams are just 5 times bigger because you are so comfortable in your complacency that you have dishonored the gift we have all been given, which is to achieve greatness, to achieve the pursuit of perfection, not to be perfect, but to pursue it, to pursue all of those dreams, all of those goals, all of those ambitions that you set out in life to do. Something has resonated inside of you that has told you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not successful enough, you don't have enough experience to go do those things. Do you know what happens when I'm in a room of really intelligent people that I'm super intimidated to be in? Once I get in that same room and I start talking to them and learning from them and being curious and asking questions, I realize half of them are not as smart as I went into that room thinking that they were. They just took a chance. And that's okay. That's beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted to know, because I'm not going to know everything. I am not omnipotent. I am not going to discover everything in my lifetime. And even though I focus and try to become an expert in a matter, does not mean that I too don't have fears. But instead of just wallowing in all those, what if you asked yourself, what if this works? What if I make a plan? What if I'm in charge of my own destiny? What if this doesn't fail? What if instead it succeeds? But if you're sitting around making all sorts of contingencies and plan Bs, you're already planning for that type of failure. Instead of really just putting yourself out there, being incredibly vulnerable and taking that next big step towards your personal greatness, the personal greatness that is inherent and given to you by a divine power. Every single super successful person I know has big fears that tag along with those big dreams. So what is one thing that we can do? We're all about actionable advice here at the Perfect RA. So what can you do when you start having really big dreams? And maybe this is leaving your BD. Maybe this is starting your own practice. Maybe this is breaking into a new field or discovering a new niche. You come up with a plan. You're a planner and you know how to get these things done. You just need to put one foot in front of the other and start. You've got to start somewhere. So sit down and fear set it. Go off. What is the worst things that can happen? I mean, drive all of those fears out and say, okay, this cannot work. This cannot work. I did this with my spouse one time. We were about to embark on a huge business endeavor and it could completely fail. Or it could be a tremendous success. And so as we went down through these things, I said, here's what I'm scared of. Here's what I'm worried about. This could be a huge time commitment. This could be a huge financial commitment. This could be a big emotional struggle. This might burn. I might be a failure at this. And my spouse looked at all those and said, you know what? We're not living outside of our means. I'll work a second job if we have to. And you are capable of doing this. Go do it. And that kind of support is all I needed. Once I had that permission, once I had that really strong talk and said, listen, I'm worried because this could just be an epic failure. This could totally blow up. This could be something that we look back on and say, my gosh, we wasted so much money. We wasted so much time. We had all of these different obstacles. I'm so sorry, and they looked at me and said, this isn't going to end our relationship. This is not a deal breaker. This is for better or worse. So let's go apply that. Let's go think about that. But I had to take time to sit down and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm scared about. And then get that reinforcement and have that person in my life that says, hell yeah, you can go do it. And I'm going to be back here supporting you. What do you need to make this happen? But that conversation would have never materialized if I didn't have the courage to sit down and fear set it and say, listen, this is what I'm doing. Help me out here. What do you think? And listen to that appropriate feedback. You need that person in your corner. You need that person who undeniably believes in your conviction and abilities. Even if they don't see the big picture, even if they don't see the big dream, even if they don't really want those things for themselves, do they believe in you enough to go and achieve them? And there's always somebody in your life that's going to feel that way. That is your go-to person when you're worried about something. Go articulate this to them and say, hey, this is all my fears, all my doubts, all my insecurities. If you don't have that in the business world, then you need to join Invictus. Come be a member on the Perfect RA. We have 2 types of membership, Backstage Pass and Invictus. Backstage Pass is like your gym membership. All the equipment's there, but you got to figure it out on your own. Invictus, that's your one-on-one coaching. Those are people that are in the trenches just like you are, have been doing the things that you've been doing most likely, and can offer advice. And because the Perfect RAA, as a rule, has a no BS policy, there are no fake experts. You have to be in the trenches, having done something somebody else has done, in order to give them advice. For example, I will not tell you how to go acquire other practices. Why? I have done it. I have not done it successfully. I would not consider myself an expert in that category about buying a book of business from somebody that's a retiring financial advisor. However, I would point you towards one of our Invictus members that is crushing it in the space. And that's how they grew to a several $100 million advisory firm, is through that acquisition. It's not me. So we have a no BS policy inside of there. If you want information on how to become a member of the Perfect RA, make sure you email us at lifestyle@theperfectra.com. We'll get you an appointment with our Chief Growth Officer and see if it's a right fit for you. If it's not a right fit for you, we're going to be really discerning about that. And we'll tell you, hey, go talk to somebody else. Go do this group instead, because this is where you're headed. So now that you've fear set, now that you've drawn it all out on paper, you put up all the head trash, all the ways that these things could go wrong, and you've surrounded yourself with a community of like-minded professionals to go achieve that goal, then what happens? Well, now you got to take step 1 and you need to draw out the plan. You're not going to have every single piece figured out, but you can at least give yourself a base plan. And with that base plan, you can deviate, you can pivot as needed, but you have to start somewhere or you're going to get nowhere. You have to be willing to make a change. You have to be able to put it on a schedule, put it on a calendar, and say, this is what I'm going to make happen. And a lot of times when we do this, we'll literally roll out a year-long calendar. And we'll put it up on the wall and we'll say, okay, where are we trying to get to? And we have the end goal in mind. This is what we want to do. Okay, with that end goal in mind, now we've got to backfill. Now we've got to say, in order to do this, I have to do that. And you can't do everything all at once. You can't do it right off of the bat. Instead, you have to break it down into sizable chunks that you can go and do. And we like to put a deadline to this. You know I'm deadline driven. You know I love to have a goal and a deadline that it's going to be accomplished by. Why? Because we'll end up in a perpetual state of wishing for our life to happen. And think about that. We do it a lot. We make a lot of excuses for ourselves every single day. Tomorrow I'm going to be better about spending money. Tomorrow I'm going to be better about eating. Tomorrow I'm not going to drink. Tomorrow. And what happens when you've exhausted all of your tomorrows and it's the end of your life? Then what? Then what are you left with? You have to make a decision to make a change, and then you have to schedule it. You have to go one step further. You've got to put it on the calendar so that way you're accountable to yourself as to when things are going to get done by. And then also putting it on the calendar, especially if it's a really, really big goal, right? So in 2018, 2 of our financial advisors left the broker dealer that we had been with for, a couple decades. And when they did this, we drew it on the calendar and said, okay, we had a positive relationship. Super positive relationship. We didn't end on any ill will. It was just divergence of two different directions. The CEO had sold, there was an acquisition, and we just no longer fit the model for the RIA. And so when we left, we told them way in advance. We came up with a strategy. We said, hey, this is what we're thinking. And then we shook hands and parted ways as friends with goodwill. It doesn't have to be a shady late at night experience. It had to be two parties making a plan and saying, hey, this has served us till now. It's not going to serve us moving forward. Here's how we're going to make that separation. Here's how we're going to make that change. And then we put it on the calendar, and we broke it down. What are the legal stuff we had to do? We got to get compliance on board. We had to get documents set in place. We had to update our ADV. We had to send out notifications to the clients. We had to meet with the clients, explain why the letterhead was changing. We had to do all of these different steps in order to make those happen, yet alone transfer all of the accounts to a new custodian. So as we made those changes, we just started segmenting it on the calendar. What was the first step we had to do? What was the second step we had to do? And we started biting off each one of those, and they became really good 3-week goals. And during this 3 weeks, we're going to accomplish this. Okay, is that done? Yes, check mark. Great. What's the next thing? And all of a sudden, now you're in motion. Now you've put the energy out there in the world to make a change that you've been dreaming about making for forever. And this could apply to so many different aspects of your life. This could be running a marathon for the first time. This could be getting back in shape. This could be changing the corporate structure. This could be doing a million different things that you have in your mind been so complacent about because everyone has let you be. Mindless habitual behavior is the enemy of innovation. Getting up every single day without some drive, without some grit, without some persistence, without a goal is just mindless, habitual repetition, and it will destroy innovation. It will steal from you all of the joy and passion you have towards achieving greatness, and you will let it. You will open the door and you will let that monotony seep in because it is far easier in this life to be complacent than it is to go against the grain. It is easier to be average than to be extraordinary. But guess what? Guess what? You weren't put here to be average. It is an insult to your creator to not be relentless in the pursuit of your happiness because you were put here on this earth to be exceptional. You were made out of all of the things that God could create. He created you. You have purpose. You need to share that purpose with other human beings. You need to move towards your greatness, whatever that means. Economic, social, prosperity, doesn't matter what it is. Whatever drives and compels you to be the change that you want to see in this world, you have a responsibility to go and make happen. And the only thing stopping you, the only thing that can stop you is you. TPR Nation, this is Jamie Shalansky in episode Worlds to Conquer. You know that everything we do is about actionable advice. So right now, what can you do to be the change you want to see? Write down the list. Where are the goals? What are the things that you want to accomplish? And what is holding you back the most? Fear set it. Surround yourself with people that understand those fears and know how to overcome them, know how to identify them, or maybe even tell you about ones you weren't even yet thinking of. But create a solution. Then roll out that calendar and give yourself a deadline. I will be in shape by this date. I will have accomplished this degree. I will get this accreditation. I will move into my own practice. I will do what? You drive that calendar. You drive that schedule. This is your destiny. Go find people who share your values and change the world.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and